Hi, I want to share a new technique in sound design using a few different programs and methods in conjunction with some of the more traditional ones. That'll be helpful for sound designers just starting out, and I think even the old pros would be impressed by the methods. Disclaimer, I was on this project for the one scene at the end of the short film, and the production audio and dialogue were not mixed by me. Yeah, so what I want to do is start essentially building some ambiences and making sure that ProTools freezes here. We need some fills for some of the director's notes. So it's going to be sort of mushy, phantom noise stuff here. And then it's going to start to build up to where we will hear this voice. So I have this throwaway or repeated line ADR thing from Girlfriend.
What about the future? What about me?
Which I think would be cool to hear. I'm thinking now maybe combining the Doctor's voice with some of his repeated lines with some of these lines, ADR stuff from the Girlfriend. So let's do something like that. Use it as a bass here to get a sort of rhythm. So.
What about the future? What about me?
That's good. And then let's.
I must remind you that you need to update your account with us.
No. Something shorter.
No, Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris.
Maybe just this Mr. Morris thing. Could be cool.
What about
Mr.
the
Morris.
future? What about me? What about the future?
Mr.
What
Morris.
about the future? What about me?
Yeah, I like those together.
Really appreciate catching up with you and getting your thoughts at this time. And getting your thoughts.
Have you found out yet?
I like that. Let's try that. Let's just try this, and maybe the pitch will be enough if we just repeat his line here.
What
Have you
about
found
the
out
future?
yet?
What about me?
Blend these together with some post effects. Let's try that.
Mr.
Have you
Morris.
found out yet? Have you
Mr.
found out
Morris.
yet?
Yeah, these can be little like tails. It'll be sort of.
Have you
Mr.
found out
Morris.
yet?
What about the future? What about me?
Have you
Mr.
found out
What about the
yet?
future? What about me?
Have you
Mr.
found out
Morris.
yet?
What about the future? What about me?
That's good. That'll all be really heavily filtered as well. This main sort of rhythmic, repetitive voice, and then all of the murmuring. Even though there's some other elements that are really jutting out. Maybe on the top of my head, let's go real repetition like this. Even just doing that.
Don't you want to know?
Hello? Have you found out yet?
Okay. So to accompany these, I want to build up some ambient zones that I can layer on top of this. So here I'm just looking for, or thinking of some things that are reminiscent of the sort of narrative here. Cinephone sort of thing. Just so that house, wind outside, steel tube, marbles, that could be fun. That could be fun. Deck of cards. That's a good starting point, because once you start looking through sound libraries, you'll have a whole bunch of ideas. Okay, well it's Cinephone. Okay, he's going up the staircase here. Large metal tines. Sounds from a well. Water well. Coal mine. I think that's enough. I think I probably need... But yeah, that'll be resonant. That's fine. Just put that in 2. Cinephone. So, CRT, static. But maybe there's still something happening in the basement because he's just come upstairs, so we can still hear that basement. So sounds from the basement. Long staircase. Sounds. Jet engine. Maybe. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, and here's where it starts to get a bit weirder. So these voices are going to go through a filter themselves, and that will be the main sort of pad harmony to this sequence. I think jet engine's going to be a pretty good one for this scene. I think that might be just, layering some jet engines. Metal scrape. Dropping poles. Let's go back to the models. Rubber ball. Okay, circular saw. That's a very good one for the Sounds of Madness. In neighborhoods, when you're, a real life horror story is when you have to listen to 3 weeks of a circular saw or a bandsaw every day when your neighbor is renovating their house. That is a real life nightmare. Okay, I think that will probably do it. So now I'm going to go ahead and start building these palettes from a sound library, which is going to be Soundly. I'll just set this up quickly as to how I'm going to input everything from my sound libraries. So we want a mono ambience, call it what you will. Mono ambience A, and then mono ambience B, and that's what we're going to use to switch between quick cuts and also ideas. And then just a whole bunch of, I'm just going to go 6 stereo effects. Okay, so we've edited a few areas with our sound library groups, etc. I've processed a few of these with Audio Suite, and we've done a few automations. So it's a collage sort of sound. This is the first process. that's basically what we're looking at. One last thing that I will do throughout this scene, sort of cut back and forth between some real-world ambiences and cut into a constant sound, something really up close. Again, another focal point, and it'll be not filtered, no crazy automation or anything like we're going to do on the rest of this stuff. So I'm going to take this over to the next area where we will do some auto filtering. Okay, everything is beautifully exported except for the subs. Now we're going to have lots and lots of fun. So here is the patch that I've designed on MaxMSP that took a very, very long time to develop, but does a number of things, including creating geometric shapes. And that motion, this is where the motion gets read and translated into our little system over here. And as we can see, video, motion, MIDI. This is where the MIDI comes out. And what I like to do first is actually, so we can see we split up our image here. Actually, we'll create a window just to show you what's coming out there. Anyway, you can see we're reading some motion here. So it's actually looks pretty good without even touching anything. What I want to do though is tweak these little magic numbers so that we have a smoother set of data. That still needs to be a little bit smoother. I'm going to keep it jilty and quick. A bit less. Okay, great. So I'm happy with the data. I'll go over to Ableton and let's see if it's actually doing anything. First, I'll just check that they're actually talking to each other. Barely. Alright. Let's actually force some parameters. So here's all our effects that will be doing stuff. Let's just zoom in here and cool. I like that one. That's great. Okay, let's start with that then. I like to do these in threes because I have 9 areas here. So you'll see that's registered there. I'm actually going to give that a limit. This is one of the best things about Ableton, just being able to change the limit without having to program anything endlessly. Basically. Res, let's do this one. Oops, wrong program. And what's sitting at 72, so let's do this kind of thing. And then the next one is, I liked that, that was good. Let's do that. And go back, let's see, we registered everything. And again, let's give it a range. And as an example, that's how this sounds. Not getting much of a reading here. I'll just, for example, show you what I can do with this really. Alright, that's the starting point. I think probably the sound I liked the least was this. So what I'm going to do is delete that one and do this instead. Yeah, like that. Let's see if that is a bit more cool. Let's just change. Yeah, let's get that in a reasonable range. And then let's see if that does something. You can see we're moving here. I'm just going to turn that down. I don't like that. So that's the process, and we're going to do this for 11 different tracks. Find some sounds that we like, that work for the scene, and then put them all together, run them through multiple times, and we'll make decisions on which ones sound the best. Okay, a short time later, and everything's lined up. We've got some extra bussing we're taken care of, and we've edited finally all of our parameter stuff that we want. We've listened back over and over again to get something that we think is going to sound good, especially when they're all playing at once. These things, this machine gets really loud sometimes because of the nature of the effects we're using, so we've just got a little protector. That's very important, very important. Doing effects in general this way, protect your ears, you know. And you find it sounds better when they start to get loud, and we still can protect our ears. Okay, so everything's set up to record here. I'm just gonna, on this one, knock down the reverbs a touch, and let's count in and go. that's that for now. I'm going to repeat this process 3 more times. Okay, painstakingly so, we have started to checkerboard our effects out. Thankfully, I'm pretty happy with the record alls, because instead of dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks, instead of dealing with 18 tracks, I'm dealing with 6 tracks. That's a good start. Okay, pretty close to the end of the day. I think we've done everything we need to do to manage all of our volume levels and our energy. You can see with everything muted, a lot of decisions we made. That's sort of part of this process. I create a lot of things, I create a lot of sounds, hopefully in different pitch ranges and different tone ranges. This is just a sort of test, or a first pass, I should say, of this scene. And we've done a lot of stuff. We've done sort of the most work on our first revision here. So because of that, we're just hitting a simple protection limiter at the end here. Try to manage as much volume in sort of broader strokes. This being sound design, we are sort of going for broader strokes. I haven't done much to the actual production audio. I'm going to listen to it one last time before I bounce it out and deliver it. So here we are. Great, so that's what we've achieved in a day. That has been sound design in a day. We took a whole bunch of stuff. This is all the stuff that we took and threw into the machine. This ended up going into MaxMSP, reading the vision and motion inside of the video and translating that into MIDI data, which created some swirling, picture-matched movement, filtering stuff. There's 100 million thousand decisions to make each time that happens, especially the sound design side of that. Possibilities are infinite, especially when you're working with Ableton and MaxMSP. So try to make the decisions as quickly as possible, having a good ear for that decision-making process, and then again, more decision-making process on the other side of that when we've generated this audio, taking things out, boosting things, what do we want to hear, following our instincts, and creating a narrative. And so that's what we've done in a day. I think pretty big effort. Sound design is centric to this scene. There's a lot of information needs to be conveyed in a very short amount of time. So that was my process today of using MaxMSP and Ableton for sound design and creating generative sound design from field recordings and building a palette just through sort of brainstorming, taking that material, putting it into the Ableton machine that reads motion through the actual video, through MaxMSP, generating a whole bunch of options, coming back to Pro Tools, cutting it scene to scene. If you watch this, I hope you got something out of it. If I should talk more about this, I'd like to hear about that too.